Hello artists, welcome back to my Art at Home video series. Today's lesson is drawing from the imagination. And you guessed it, we are going to be using the elements of art you learned in the earlier videos. So we're going to use line in this project and we're going to use shape. But what's really fun is I'm going to show you how to overlap shapes so you can make all sorts of things. Now, if you look over here, here's a couple of examples. Hopefully that gets your imagination started. Now, let's head over to my workspace and I'm going to tell you what materials we're going to use today. So the materials you will need, well, you're drawing from the imagination, so you're going to need your imagination, and all you'll need is a paper and a pencil. And I always recommend having a mat or newspaper under your paper so you don't get any of your art materials on the table. Now, if you want to use other materials, you can. Remember, it's drawing from the imagination, so anything goes. I'm going to use probably some pencil, marker, and oil pastels. Okay. So now I'm going to let you gather your materials and I'll meet you back here. Okay, now you have your materials, so let's get started. So a lot of students ask me, if I don't have a picture to look at, how do I get started when I'm drawing from the imagination? So what you want to do is we're going to start with line because line makes shapes, and really all you want to do is start making some shapes. Okay, so those are our elements of art we're going to start with. So I'm going to really focus on shape. Okay, now I'm going to just show you an example of what I'm going to do. So it's springtime and out in my garden I see flowers a lot. So that's always those plants and everything that I see, that is in my imagination. So I am going to make my own original creative flower. Now, if you have another idea of what you want to make, that's perfectly fine. So let's get started. And again, it all starts with the shape. Now I'm going to start with marker. So you can see my picture when I'm showing you how to draw this. And again, it doesn't have to look like anything. So that's another example. See, I'm just starting with a shape, a triangle, and making a picture. And that's called an abstract picture. See how it doesn't really look like anything. It just kind of looks like a cool design. Okay, so now, I'm going to start with a shape and I'm going to start in the middle. And it doesn't have to be a perfect circle, so never worry about that. So I'm going to just come around and just come around. So see, that's how I start. Okay, now comes the part where I'm going to overlap. Remember how I talked about you're going to learn how to overlap today? I'm just going to quickly show you what I mean by overlapping on this picture. So no matter what shape you use, you can overlap. So for example, say I'm using squares. Do you see how they're not touching? So they kind of look flatter, and that might be a look you like. So you can do that, or you can take this idea. So there's my square. Now I'm going to overlap. So that means I'm going to connect the shapes. So see how they're touching here and they're touching here. See? See how it's touching? And then I'm going to come down. And it's touching. So it's overlapping. See if I do it on this side. And then I come down. And then I just keep going. And so do you see how that has more of a three-dimensional or 3D look? And that is two-dimensional, it looks flatter. Okay? So that's an example of overlapping. And if I did the triangle one, it's my triangle. See how I get it? Shapes are touching. Touch. And you might end up seeing things when you're overlapping shapes, and then it might become something, or it just might become a cool design. So that's up to you. So that kind of gives you an idea. So here are the triangles, the look of it more two-dimensional. Okay, see how they're not touching. And then when I overlap or get the shapes to touch, I get a more three-dimensional look. Okay, so now I'm going to start on my flower. Okay, so for me, I'm starting with one big circle. And now I'm going to connect. So I'm thinking rainbow line, and then it touches. See, touch, touch. Rainbow line, touch. See, rainbow line. And see how it's touching. And I like to turn my paper so I don't go all in one direction. So by turning it helps me to get my petals a little bit more balanced. But it doesn't have to be that way, you know. Again, experiment and just start discovering your style. So that's the most important thing, especially when you're drawing from the imagination. Maybe I'll put a circle in the middle. I like that. See what that looks like. And then I'm just going to keep connecting. Now, you don't have to keep connecting. Maybe you go, you know, I just want to put those rainbow lines or half or semicircles around the big circle in the center, and that's enough. But if you just want to keep going and see what happens, you can do that. So I'm going to try to balance this a little bit. Okay, so now I've got that. And I could turn this into a tree, you know, whatever you want to do. You could make it into a creature. So that's the fun thing about drawing from the imagination. It just starts with the shape, and then you just keep going with it. Okay, so now I'm going to put the stem in. So I just want to show you something about that. So if I put a stem in, see how I'm using a straight line? So then I get that straight stem. But if I put that wavy line, and so then I'm going to put another line. I'm going to copy that line. See how I'm going to get a stem that looks like it's moving. And, you know, again, if you wanted to do a crooked stem, again, it's your artwork, and you're the artist. So, you know, use your imagination, use your creativity, and have fun. Okay, so I'm going to show you what that looks like. So this one, maybe I'm going to come here, swing it down so it looks like a big dancing flower. So that's kind of fun. Okay, so that's one idea. And then if I want to put leaves coming off of the stem, see how I'm going to do rainbow line, triangle, and back home to my oval. And I could leave it like that, or if I want that part of the leaf coming off the stem, I want to make that wider, I can. And think of it this way. If this curves this way, I'm going to curve that vein from the leaf that way. And you don't have to put that in, but if you like that idea, you can. And then this one, see, it almost looks like it's kind of a flower and a person. So, you know, just have fun with it. And then look, if I go up and make a big smile, it really looks like it's dancing now. And then a triangle to an oval. And then I'm going to curve the same way. And then I'm going to make another line. And I can keep adding more if I wanted to do that. And then if I kind of want to make the ground in the back, you can make a straight line, curvy line. You could put mountains in the back. You know, however you want to design or create your picture, it's up to you. Okay, so that should be enough to get started. And I'm going to show you these examples again. So again, see, you can get the flower idea, or if you want to use just triangles, choose a shape that you really enjoy making or drawing, and then start there, and then see what happens and what comes up. So again, this is that idea of overlapping. So I am going to let you start drawing from your imagination and create what you would like, and then I'll meet you back here and we'll start adding color to it. Okay, so I will see you soon. Okay, so did you finish your imagination drawing? Great. Okay, so let's add some color. Now, if you want all of those shapes to really stand out, think of color in a pattern. And do you remember the color pattern that we've learned about? That's right, that light, dark color pattern. So let's take a look at the shapes that you drew. So for mine, I created a fun flower. So let's look at that pattern. See how this is lighter and this is darker. And then this is lighter and this is darker. And then I'm just going to keep going around. But one thing I just want to point out is if I keep going around, you're probably going to notice this is going to be, I'm going to go with yellow here, and then that's going to be dark blue. Uh-oh. So that's not a mistake. I just have to solve a problem. So I can take my trusty marker and I can just divide a petal. And then I've got that, and then I'm back at it. And it's solved, because then I'll go yellow, and then I can do dark blue, and then I can do yellow over here. Okay? So the other thing I wanted to show you, even in the stem, see how I'm using the light green next to the dark green. And that'll give you that three-dimensional look, and it'll really get your shapes to stand out. Whatever colors you choose, just keep thinking that idea of light next to dark. So if you take a look again here, see how the yellow is lighter than the orange, and then that orange is lighter than the blue. Okay, so keep thinking about that. And when you're choosing your colors, remember to put your colors next to one another. So for example, see how I've got that dark blue next to the yellow. I definitely see that's a light dark pattern. Okay, and then if I were to, for example, just take these two colors, see that's not going to stand out as much. Okay, so think about that. If you really want your shapes to stand out, think of that idea of light next to dark. So that's our lesson on drawing from the imagination. So always remember when you're creating art to relax and have lots of fun and just keep creating. And I look forward to seeing you back at school.